We're leaving tomorrow. Your car's already sold. But, my dad said over the phone. I just smiled and said, "You forgot one thing, Dad." He went silent when he realized what I meant. There are moments in life that hit you like a punch to the gut, moments that completely rewrite your understanding of family. For me, it was a phone call, crisp and brutal, that declared, "We're leaving tomorrow. Your car has already been sold." That's when I knew, beyond a shadow of a doubt, that my family didn't just see me as a resource, they saw me as property. Look, my name's Adam, I'm 28. For as long as I can remember, I've been the oldest son, the designated fixer, the emergency contact, the one you call for a ride at midnight, the second wallet when someone else forgot. In any family photo, I'm that tall shape on the edge, my shoulders already half turned, like I'm halfway out of the frame. My younger brother, Nate? Oh, he's always front and center, caught mid-laugh, a hand casually resting on someone's shoulder, like a king surveying his kingdom. I work IT support for a logistics company. Let's just say I know more about barcode scanners than I do about healthy relationships. My apartment's a cozy one-bedroom with a lovely view of a brick wall, and, if I crane my neck, a sliver of sky that turns orange for about 8 glorious minutes at sunset. My coffee? Black. Cream felt like a luxury I could never remember to buy. Growing up, I was the quiet one. Mom would tell people, Adam was born responsible. Dad, though, he'd always add, and born dramatic, especially when I dared to ask questions he didn't like. Nate, he was the baby. Even after he turned 25. Even after 27. In the family stories we'd tell at dinner, Nate was the plot. I was just the spine, holding it all together. I remember when I was 10. I'd painstakingly saved coins in an old peanut butter jar, dreaming of buying a used Game Boy from our neighbor. The day I finally brought it home, proud and trembling, Dad took it right out of my hands. "If you can afford toys," he said, his voice flat, "you can afford to help." Then he sent me to the store for bread and milk, a shopping list in one hand, a lecture in the other. That December, Nate unwrapped a brand new console. "Don't say we never give you boys anything," Dad announced. I told myself I didn't care. I told myself that for years, even as my jaw ached from clenching. Adulthood changed the scenery, but the script remained the same. I worked my way through community college, pulling night shifts, learning to keep servers alive and printers from screaming. My raises came in clear, hard numbers. My family's requests for money, their debts, they came in soft words like, "just for now," and "you're so good with accounts, we'll settle later." I made spreadsheets, rent, utilities, gas, grocery runs. And then there was a tab I jokingly called boundaries, a punchline I swore I'd tell someday. Sundays were the worst. The dining table groaning under meatloaf and mashed potatoes. The TV blaring too loud. And Aunt Marcy, always at the corner, dropping comments like they were just facts pinned to the air. "Nate's got such a spark. He just needs a runway. And Adam's the stable one. He'll help." Everyone would nod, as if they'd all attended some secret family meeting where I'd enthusiastically volunteered my life savings. 2 months ago, at one of those dinners, while I was scraping plates into the trash, I overheard Dad. "Once Nate's coaching really takes off," he said, "the whole family will benefit." Mom murmured, "Adam will float us till then." They didn't whisper. They never do. Standing at the sink, I felt like a chair they'd already sat in. Then came last week. Tuesday, 7:18 p.m. That timestamp is burned into my brain because I had a 6 a.m. deployment window set for work, and I was deep into my pre-flight checklist. My phone lit up. Dad. I picked up. "Hey." He didn't say hello. He never does when he's about to drop a decision on me like a bowling ball. "We're leaving tomorrow. Your car has already been sold." For a second, my brain blue-screened. "I'm sorry, what?" "We're leaving tomorrow," he repeated, slower, like I was dim. "Your car is sold. It's done." Something inside me, something I didn't even know existed, peeled itself off the floor and let out a laugh. It wasn't a happy sound. It was more like a shock release. "But you forgot one thing." "What are you talking about?" His tone sharpened. It was that blade he uses when he wants me to know I'm on thin ice. I stared at the ceiling light humming in my kitchen. "You forgot that the car you just sold was actually—" I stopped. I heard Mom in the background. "Mark, who is it?" A fork clinked. Nate's voice. "Tell him he's welcome." I hung up. I stood there in my little kitchen, the fridge whirring, my own heartbeat feeling too loud. I looked at my sticky notes, deployment steps, a grocery list, eggs, foil, soap, a reminder to book a dentist, like they belonged to someone whose life was smaller, cleaner, less complicated than mine. At 9:12, my phone buzzed. "Mom, don't be petty. It's family." "Nate." "Bro, wait till you see Europe." "Dad, you don't need a car. You can walk." I turned the phone face down. The room pulsed blue, then went dark. I didn't text back. I didn't sleep. I watched that sliver of sky turn from orange to black to gray. Somewhere around 3 a.m., I scribbled on the back of an old envelope. What is actually mine? The list came out painfully thin. My bed, my dishes, my laptop, my breath. I wrote car, with a question mark, because I knew the real answer, even if they didn't. At 6:43 a.m., Dad called again. Cheery now, like a con man. "We got a place. You're up for a while. Fresh start." You'll understand when you visit. Fresh start from what? I asked. Dead as a game. They want a pound of flesh. We're not giving it. He said it like wisdom from a movie he'd half-watched. What does that have to do with my car? Liquidity, he said. We'll pay you back. Translation, we're using your stability as our ATM and calling it love. I put the phone down. I made coffee. I folded laundry that didn't need folding. I held my car keys and felt how small they were. Then I put them in my pocket. And for the very first time, I let a plan form that wasn't about rescuing anybody. The line of the title came later that night, when I was replaying his words. We're leaving tomorrow. Your car has already been sold. And me? But you forgot one thing. Him. What are you talking about? I had laughed out loud then, because the car he sold was actually never his to sell. It wasn't even that simple. It was the one thing in a long time tied to my name, my job, my rules. They had finally pushed a lever attached to a lock they didn't own. I slept an hour with my shoes on and woke up with an unsettling clarity, understanding why that call had broken something and fixed something inside me. You need the long version. The years of little hooks they'd set in me because I just held still. Age 16, Nate backed Dad's truck into a mailbox. Side mirror shattered. Dad handed me the problem. You're the responsible one. Handle it. I paid $380 for my summer paychecks. Ate instant noodles. Told myself it was fine because family shares. Nate just posted a photo captioned, "Oops," and got 50 likes. Age 19, the gas bill. Temporarily in my name, because Mom said the online portal made her head spin. Temporary turned into 7 years. Every time I mentioned switching it back, she'd rub her wrist and say stress gives her a rash. Then text me a photo of a tiny pink patch as proof. Age 22, Nate's third major didn't stick. So I co-signed his apartment just to get him on his feet. First 2 months, he paid. Third month, he forgot. Fourth month, he was investing in himself, with a course from some guy who sells courses. I covered $1,200. Then $1,200 again, because eviction notices come for both names, and one of those names belonged to me, at a job that runs background checks. Age 23, Mom asked if I could add Nate to my phone plan for a bit. That bit grew legs and a mailing address. I watched charges appear for ringtone apps in 2023 and told myself to breathe. Ages 24 to 27, the wedding that almost happened 3 times. Deposits went out like weather balloons and popped. Each time, Mom said, "We'll get it back." Each time, I watched my account and saw refunds trickle toward everyone but me. Nate bought a motorcycle for content. He said sponsors would cover it. They did not. I bought 2 helmets because I have never not done the safe thing. When I finally bought my hatchback, 5 years old, low mileage, neat service history, it felt like reclaiming a piece of myself. Not a flashy thing, just solid. The kind of car that says, "I will start when you ask." I joined the employee leasing program at work. The tax math just made sense. The car was mine, titled to me, but linked to our fleet agreement. It came with rules, maintenance at specific shops, no private sale outside the program. A tracker under the dash the size of a matchbox. The boring details. I actually like the boring details, the ones that protect you if anyone ever tries to get casual with your property. First month, the car smelled like new plastic and lemon wipes. Second month, it smelled like Nate's body spray. He'd borrowed it to show a house, and returned it with a different air freshener swinging from the mirror. "I'll refill the tank," he said. He did. Once. $14. After that, the gas level was whatever mood he was in. Mom started calling it our car. The first time she did, the word slid right past me. The third time, it caught. "Our car will be so helpful when we move your father's tools," she'd say. And then Nate needs our car for a date. When I hesitated, she'd hit me with, "Don't be petty. You don't even go anywhere." I tried humor. "I go to work." She didn't laugh. 3 months before the call, Dad said the house taxes were behind. It's just timing, which is his way of saying, asterisk it's a hole. Throw money in. Asterisk he needed $2,400 by Friday. I pulled it from my emergency fund, because that's the story I tell myself. I'm a man who does the right thing, even when it hurts. The emergency stretched into another $900 for the electric because Nate left the AC on. My spreadsheet kept up, like a polite secretary, adding lines under bills I shouldn't have. Then Nate got engaged to Bryn, who is kind when we're alone and posts quotes about pruning your circle when we're not. The venue they wanted looked like a Pinterest board come to life. The deposit was a number that made me swallow twice. Mom sent a link with, "Isn't it beautiful? We all contribute." I offered to pay for chairs. She said chairs were included. I offered to shoot photos on my old DSLR. She said, "We want professionals, Adam." I said I couldn't give more. She didn't talk to me for 3 days. On the 4th, she texted, "You've changed," like it was a crime. In the middle of all this, I built tiny rituals to stay sane. Sunday night, portion pasta into 3 plastic containers for the week. Monday morning, wipe down the kitchen counter. Wednesday, a therapy search tab open, never booked. Saturday, drive around the lake and park under a street light. Listen to a podcast where people talk about boundaries like they're tools, not weapons. I kept a note on my phone titled Lines. It had sentences I wanted to say out loud one day. No, I can't do that. I won't be adding my name. That doesn't work for me. You'll have to figure that out. Every time I practiced in my head, something smaller came out of my mouth in real life. A shrug. A joke. Silence. The day before the call, Dad texted, "Bring the car by early tomorrow. Nate has errands." I typed, "No, I need it for work," and felt like I'd committed a felony. He replied, "Well, manage." I didn't know what manage meant until he called with his declaration. When he said, "Your car has already been sold," my first thought was, how? The keys were on my counter. The title was in my desk. The registration was in the glove box. Then I remembered the photo Nate had posted the week before. Him in front of my hatchback, hand extended like a salesman, captioned, "New chapter, tag location set to our driveway." It got 100 thumbs up. People wrote, "Proud of you, King," like pride is transferable by comment. In the picture, in the corner of the windshield, the tiny fleet sticker reflected. Most people wouldn't notice. I noticed it. It has a number that connects to our company's vehicle desk. I stared at that photo for 20 minutes the night he posted it and thought, this is going to be a problem. Then I put the thought in a shoebox in my brain, slid it under a mental bed, and told myself, you're overreacting. This is the thing about being the stable one. Everyone treats your stability like a public utility. Use as needed. Bill later. That call blew the cover off the shoebox. Suddenly, all the little hooks tugged at once. I wrote a plan. It had 3 parts. Secure the car, say no out loud, don't justify beyond 1 sentence. I also wrote, do not save them from the consequences you didn't create. Then I circled it. At 7:15 the next morning, before work, I drove to my parents' house. I parked 2 blocks away. I wanted to see if my car had grown a second set of keys overnight. It hadn't. I sat there and practiced the word no under my breath until it sounded normal. Then I walked to the house and knocked like a stranger. The door was already open. Someone had wedged a suitcase in it. The hallway smelled like hairspray and toast, and the lemon cleaner Mom uses when company's coming. Suitcases lined the wall like guests at attention. Bryn's glittery bags sparkled from a chair like small, expensive animals. The TV was on, a morning show with anchors laughing the way anchors do, volume cranked up because in our house, silence needs drowning. Nate came out of the kitchen with a piece of toast in his mouth, grinning like I'd arrived to drive them to the airport. "Adam," he said, dragging the word out like he always does when he wants to turn reality into his party. "Did you bring the docs?" "What docs?" I asked. He glanced over his shoulder at Dad, who was scrolling on his phone at the table. "Title, registration, whatever. You don't need a car title to get on a plane," I said. "And you didn't sell my car." Dad didn't look up. "Don't start," he said. Mom appeared from the hallway, lipstick half applied. "Adam," she said, that warning tone that means you're about to disappoint us. "We're on a schedule." "You didn't sell my car," I repeated, steady. "You handed someone a piece of paper that isn't legal and promised him something you can't promise." Dad finally raised his eyes. A smirk loaded onto his face. "We got $9,500. It's done." "From whom?" I asked. "What's his name?" "Why do you care?" Nate chimed in. "You'll get your cut." "Chill." A small click happened inside me, like a lock turning. "No," I said. The room paused. Even the TV felt quieter. Mom lowered her lipstick. "Adam," she said, softer now, bargaining voice. "Don't ruin this. Your brother needs a fresh start." "He's had 12 fresh starts," I said. "He's compost at this point." Dad's face hardened. "Watch it." I kept my voice low. "You didn't sell my car because you can't. It's titled to me and tied to my company's fleet. The contract forbids private sale. There's a tracker in the dash. The keys," I patted my pocket, "are with me. The title is in my desk. The bill of sale you wrote on a pad? It's a napkin. All you sold was a story to a man who's about to call me." Silence. Somewhere on the TV, a blender word. A plane took off in B-roll. Mom tried tears. "We're your family." "I know," I said. "That's why I'm telling you before the police do. The buyer will get a refund when the fleet office calls him today. You can still go to the airport. You can still start over. You just can't fund it with my name." Nate laughed, but it sounded wrong. "Bro, you're making this complicated." "No," I said. "I'm making it accurate." Dad stood up. He's not tall, but he has presence, the way a storm cloud does. "We fed you. We clothed you. You owe." "I don't owe you my credit score," I said. "I don't owe you my car. I don't owe you my sleep. I have covered taxes, electric bills, rent notices that weren't mine. You told me I was the responsible one. And that was code for donor." "Lower your voice." Mom hissed. "It's already low," I said. "Listen, this isn't about revenge. This is about closure. I'm done being the fallback fund." Bryn hovered in the doorway, mascara wand paused. "What's happening?" she whispered to Nate. "Nothing," Nate said. "He's having a moment." I pulled a folded paper from my pocket and put it on the table. This is the last 12 months. $2,400 house taxes. $900 electric. $1,200 rent for Nate. $1,200 again when he forgot. $600 non-refundable deposit for a venue you two posted about and then ghosted. I'm not asking for repayment. I'm telling you the account is closed. Dad glanced at the paper without touching it. You keeping score like that is sick. Family doesn't keep score, Aunt Marcy once said. And what she meant was, Family owes Adam infinity. I looked at him and said, someone has to, or the game never ends. Phones started buzzing. Dad's first, then Mom's, then Nate's. Same unknown number. Probably the buyer. The chorus of consequences, arriving on time for once. I'm taking my car now, I said. If you need a ride, call an Uber. If you need money, sell your own things. If you need help, ask someone else first. If they say no, ask them again. If they still say no, learn a new way. I won't be the only answer anymore. Mom's face was wet now. You would leave us stranded. You're not stranded, I said. You're inconvenienced. There's a difference. Dad stepped toward me, voice low. You think you're better than us because you have a little money. I think I'm separate from you, I said. That's new. I put the spare fob in my palm, felt its weight, then slipped it back into my pocket. The theater of the gesture wasn't for them. It was for me. I turned and walked out. No slam, no big speech, just the sound of the TV and the buzzing phones, and my own steps on the porch I'd painted years ago for family labor, while Nate hosted a live stream on Grind's set. Outside, the air was bright in that aggressively cheerful morning way. I rounded the corner to where I'd parked. My hands shook when the car chirped at the unlock. I sat in the driver's seat and stared at my face in the rearview mirror. Older than I felt, younger than I'd acted. My phone buzzed 19 times by the time I reached the end of the block. At the stop sign, I said out loud, to no one, to myself. No is a full sentence. It sounded like the first real thing I'd said in years. The first hour felt like an exam. Could I resist the urge to turn around and fix the mess? Could I resist the compulsion to explain myself until they forgave me for saving my own life? I drove to work. The parking lot was a grid of sedans making quiet, adult decisions. I badged in. I nodded to the front desk. My boss, Joel, stuck his head over my cubicle wall at 9:02. You good? Family stuff, I said. He made the face managers make when they want you to know they're human. If you need time. I'm okay for once. It was mostly true. At 10 o'clock, I pushed the update. No errors. I breathed through each step for 2 hours. The world made sense. Run script. Watch logs. Confirm. Green. I drank water. I answered 2 tickets. I wrote a note to myself. You can do hard things without drama. At lunch, I checked my phone. 47 missed calls, 19 texts, 3 voicemails from an unknown number, all variations of, I think I bought your car from your dad. I forwarded the number to the fleet office with a concise email. Family attempted unauthorized sale, buyer contacting me. Please advise. The rep replied within minutes. We've already spoken to him. He'll be refunded by the seller. Your vehicle is flagged. Okay, sorry you're going through this. I nearly cried from gratitude at a sentence that treated me like a person with a problem solvable by policy. At 12:36, Mom, we missed our flight because of you. I hope you're happy. 12:37, we rebooked for tonight. We persevere. 12:40, you humiliated us. Your brother is heartbroken. The word, heartbroken, sat between crying emojis like a decoration on a cake I didn't order. At 2:10, Dad sent a manifesto. You will regret this. We sacrificed. You're ungrateful. Family is everything. At 2:12, a threat. Bring the car by 5, or I'll report it stolen. I screenshotted. I replied, please do. The contract is clear. He didn't text again. At 3:40, 8 missed calls from Mom. Then a text. Where's the spare key? At 4:06, why are you vindictive? At 4:09, a photo of the empty driveway, like proof of my crimes. At 4:30, a voice note of shaky breathing and, Adam, you're killing me. I put the phone face down and watched the light crawl across my desk like a patient animal. At 5:15, Aunt Marcy. Sweetie, your mother is unwell. Be the bigger person. Me. I've been the bigger person for 28 years. I'm trying the right size. She hung up. That night, I made pasta and oversalted it. I ate it anyway. I took a walk and looked at windows lit up in other people's lives. I made a list titled, What I Did / What I Didn't Do. What I did, said no. Stayed calm. Stated terms. Secured my property. Put responsibility back where it belonged. What I didn't do, call the police on my family. Contact the buyer to gloat. Post on Facebook. Send the spreadsheet to the group chat. Use words I regret. It helped. Not like a miracle, like a small weight moving off my lungs. Day 2. The buyer left one more voicemail. Got my refund. Fleet lady was firm. Good luck. I deleted it and felt the door close gently. Nate texted at 8:22. Bro, I'm sorry you feel. I closed it. Then, we made the flight. We're out. A selfie in an airport bar. Bryn throwing peace signs. Mom smiling like a sticker. Dad's jaw set to granite. I stared long enough for guilt to rise and fall. I whispered, have a safe trip, to the empty room and put the phone down. Day 3, I removed my card from their streaming services. Netflix asked, are you sure? I said yes. I called the gas company and canceled autopay. The rep said, you've been paying a long time. I said, I'm done. She said, good for you, in a tone that made me want to hug her. Day 4, I booked therapy. First available was next Tuesday. I didn't cancel it. Day 5, Mom sent a photo of a balcony with the caption, see what you're missing. I didn't respond. Later, a voice note. We love you, but you made this ugly. I pressed play on silence. Day 6, I slept through the night. Woke up surprised, like I'd found money in a coat. Made coffee, didn't check my phone first, stood by the window, and watched a bird hop along the fire escape like the world had always been this simple. Day 7. Work called me into an HR room. My stomach fell. The HR rep smiled kindly. Your dad left a voicemail about a company car dispute, ruining a family trip. We're not involved. Just letting you know we deleted it. I laughed, then covered my face because I was suddenly crying. Sorry, I said. No need to be. She handed me a tissue. Take your time. Day 8. Aunt Marcy again. Your mother isn't sleeping. Can you apologize so she can heal? I typed. I love Mom. I'm available to talk when she can acknowledge what happened and accept my boundaries. She replied, wow, no follow-up. Day 9. I drove to the lake at sunset. I adjusted the seat to exactly how I like it. I set the AC to low. I didn't smell Nate's spray. I listened to a podcast about people who stopped being the family plug. The host said, boundaries are kindness with a backbone. I wrote it in my phone. Day 10. A text from Mom, without emojis. We land next Tuesday. Can we talk Wednesday? I typed, yes, then added, ground rules, public place. No yelling. We discuss our own bills, not each other's. She liked the message. A small blue heart that felt like a truce flag folded into a pocket. Wednesday came like a regular day. At 5:57 p.m., I slid into a booth at the diner where they used to take us after Little League. The waitress still called me honey, like time was a trick. Mom and Dad were already there. Mom looked smaller. Dad looked like a chair carved from an old tree. Hi, I said. Hi, Mom said, her hands wrapped around her water glass like it could anchor her. Dad nodded. We ordered without the old performance. Know who's paying? Jokes. No. Adam, get the tip. The pancakes arrived. The syrup was the same cheap brand it had always been. Maybe that's why I felt safe. Mom spoke first. We didn't handle things well. She swallowed. I didn't handle things well. I use you like a solution. I'm sorry. Dad stared at the table. I'll pay you back, he mumbled into the syrup. I shook my head. I didn't ask for that. He bristled. You made a list for me. I did, I said, to prove I'm not crazy. We ate. We let silence sit. We didn't fold it up with jokes. I slid a paper across the table. 3 lines. I won't be responsible for Nate's bills, rent, school, car, or wedding. You won't attach my name to credit or utilities. If I say no, you accept it the first time. Mom read. She nodded. Okay. Dad tried a half smile. What about rides to the airport? It was almost funny. Uber, I said. He surprised me. Fine. The check came. Dad paid. He didn't sigh. He didn't make a face about the tip. Outside, he looked at my hatchback like it was a person he'd misjudged. That's a good little car. It is, I said. That night, I didn't sleep perfectly, but I didn't dream about being chased by bills wearing my family's faces. Progress, not miracle. And sometimes, that's more than enough.